Welcome everybody, I am Traren. In this video, we're going to be going over basic tips for DPS in World of Warcraft. We'll be going over some things that I've done or still do that I think can help you with your DPS character. This video is for beginners that want to get into some Mythic Plus dungeons or light raiding. These are my opinions, formed from things that I've experienced doing Mythic Plus dungeons and raids. Please let me know in the comments if you do something in addition to these basic tips. Let's get into it. Number 1, read your spellbook. Your spellbook is now broken into 3 parts: general, class, and specialization. This sounds almost too basic for a basic DPS video, but honestly, go read your spellbook and you'll probably find something you didn't know before. Usually there's some ability that interacts with another ability that is useful to know or something similar. It might not be mind-blowing information, but it might help you understand why you're using some abilities in a certain order or at a certain time. Number 2, get damage meters. Most people have damage meters so they can flex on stream or post to someone who doesn't care about it. The better use of damage meters is to see how you stack up. You can even compare how you're doing to someone else with the same class and specialization as you. It breaks down pretty far into each ability, how often you use it, etc. I always found it helpful looking at how often abilities were being used compared to someone who's doing more damage than me. Your usage is roughly the same, they might just have better gear than you, so keep it up. You can dive about as deep as you want to, but just having it as a visual to see where you're stacking up is really helpful. Number 3, get raid and dungeon add-ons. These are not essential and some people play without them. However, I strongly suggest getting a dungeon or raid boss add-on. It gives visuals and audio cues as to what is happening or going on. They can help you plan ahead and keep you alive. You do a lot more damage when you're alive. As you can see here, there are some arrows pointing to some useful information. Countdowns, range warnings, and your screen will even flash sometimes if something's going on. Number 4, know your stats. There are a few different ways to do this. Ask Mr. Robot is a great tool for beginners. It has an in-game add-on that creates a text string for all of your gear, similar to the middle picture here. Copy and paste that into the website and away you go. It uses stat prioritization and basically tells you what gear to put on to maximize your damage based on your current setup and talents. It's not 100% accurate, but it's better than no prioritization at all. You can also use it to find upgrades in dungeons and raids so you can target what you need. You do need a subscription though, however, beyond the trial period. I think it's like $2 a month or like $12 a year. It's really not too bad. Raid Bots is a bit more in depth. It uses Simulation Craft add-on to create a text string, like in the middle of the screen, to copy and paste to their website. You can break down each piece of gear and each sim in individual pieces. It also has Droptimizer, which will show you where you can get upgrades from. Raidbots is free, and with a paid option you can run more items and don't have to wait in a queue. I actually pay for it, and I end up using both of these, but I find Raidbots to be a little more accurate and flexible. Number 5, check websites. I'm sure everyone knows about wowhead.com, and you probably know about Icy Veins. But if not, I need to mention them. They're an invaluable source for just about everything you need to know about your class. I'm not going to argue over which is better than the other. Honestly, I usually check both sites and see what they have to say and how it fits with my playstyle. You don't have to take it word for word, but it is a great source of information. I highly recommend checking one or both out. Number 6, gem and enchant your gear. This kind of goes without saying. Make sure your gear has gems and enchants on it. It's going to increase your damage, and yet I see tons of people without them. It's not too expensive, even if you aren't a jewel crafter or enchanter. Ask your guild or hit up the auction house and make sure you keep up with newly replaced gear. When you get new gear, you should check the websites or ask the bots to see what gems and enchants you need. Number 7, use consumables. This is very similar to number 6, but it occurs more often and it's something that's in your inventory and not your character's gear. Make sure you always have your food buff, and if you're attempting something a little more difficult like Mythic Plus or a raid encounter, make sure you use the appropriate flask for your class. You're also going to want to have some potions. There are utility potions like healing, etc., stat potions, and damage effect potions. Each class will utilize one over the others, and in most cases generally use them on cooldown usage, or on the hero lust phase. Potions are a little different in Shadowlands. You won't need to pre-pot anymore. I'm not sure if there will be an augment room in Shadowlands. I imagine there will be after LFR is released. If you really want more stats, grab some of those and stack them up with your food buff. Number 8, keybinds and macros. Make sure you have your abilities bound in a comfortable location is really important. They make MMO mouses so you can extend that further to your mouse even. I play with 6 mouse buttons and a shift variant for each of those in addition to my keyboard. Do what is most comfortable for you and what you're going to remember. but not having to move your mouse to click abilities will really help. Using macros to combine multiple abilities to one button can also be handy. Anything that isn't on a global cooldown can usually be combined with another spell. I recommend checking out the macros section on the class guides and also class discords if you're really brave. There are some great ease of life macros that people will share with you to be more efficient. Number 9, don't always meta. What does that mean? You don't always have to follow the meta or do something you're not comfortable with your playstyle wise. This sounds a little counterintuitive to what I've said so far in this video, but don't always follow the guides or the bots. Sometimes the meta may be a talent that you're not particularly good with. Don't use it. Use another talent that's maybe slightly comparable, but much easier to use. You'll probably end up doing more damage. Another option is slamming a target dummy until you are comfortable. Other times I find meta rotations just not fun. Sometimes I'd rather do what's fun over what's best. Unless you're going for the world first kills or raiding with a cutting edge guild, it most likely isn't going to matter for you. Number 10, do research. This is pretty simple. Go watch a video on whatever dungeon or boss you're doing. Knowing what you're doing, where you're supposed to be positioned, and what is going to happen will allow you to essentially hit your buttons better because you can focus on your rotation instead of trying to figure out what the heck is going on. These weren't in any particular order from most important to least or anything like that. I would argue they're all important. I'm really interested to hear what you guys do to help your DPS as well. Again, feel free to comment. That wraps up this video of basic tips for DPS. Please make sure to like and subscribe so you know when future videos are released. Also catch me over on Twitch at twitch.tv/jtraren where we can hang out, answer questions, and do some dungeons. That's it for now. Until next time.